Good evening, everybody. This is Cheyenne with Dragonfly Discussions podcast on YouTube. I'm working to getting on to Spotify and Apple, because that's all audio. So hang in there with me. But I'm going to go ahead and start to read the safe space parameters that I have set forth for you all. Welcome to my podcast, Dragonfly Discussions. You are welcome to enter your name and location you are from. I am thrilled you are listening, and I hope you enjoy this session together. Safe space reminder, please use your own safe space parameters amongst the chapters I read, which may arouse emotions or memories of your own. You are welcome to excuse yourself or stay. So this is something to just take your time at, watch as you're comfortable, and then resume when you're comfortable. So we are now going into chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a pretty interesting chapter. It's the year 2009, and it's in the month of October, and I am deciding to leave my little nest that I had in Visalia, which was my own little apartment that I had gotten on my own after getting my life back together and finishing a 2-year rehab. So that was all, 2006 to 2007. And then my dad passed away in 2007. And so now we're like 2 years, beyond that. So they say to take it very slow when getting into a relationship. Well, you will hear what happened. And then I also want to recognize last week. So last week we were supposed to enter into chapter 6, and I apologize for switching it up on everyone. But I couldn't continue faking what was really happening in my life. I couldn't just read and not talk about it. And I've received over 300 views from that video last Tuesday. And I haven't had any comments or anything like that on my channel. I've just gotten the views, which is huge because everything's rated on views. But I have received so much support from the church, from people who know me, who really, really know me and know the situation and are so disheartened by this kind of an act. It's an act of injustice. So there's people who are still fighting for me to see how this can all be resolved in a more fair and loving and forgiving way. So we'll see. The person that I mentioned, the staff person I mentioned, I don't regret saying any of the things I said because that is my truth. I was a witness to a lot of things. I was on a lot of teams and given a lot of insight to a lot of things that go on behind the scenes of a church, just as a volunteer, not a paid staff. And I held a lot of responsibilities and I saw a lot. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not expecting much, but I will be okay. Everything will be okay. I'm finding new connection with people from the Sounds of Light that I was at last night, and I spoke in front of a beautiful women's circle. So I'm finding other connection. The universe is so faithful. So I would love to go back to the UU Church of Fresno. Don't get me wrong. I love that church, and it's not for anybody or anything but the community of family that I have built for 6 years. I have built some really strong relationships And that's what's going to be the most hardest to restart again, like completely all over, and not have such an engagement with those people on a weekly basis. So that's why, I deserve a fair shot at looking at the evidence. And I wish that the board and Rev Tim will let me see the evidence and give me an equal opportunity to just own up to whatever it is, apologize, and make amends and forgive and heal and move on. Like, let's be adults. Let's be adults. So, enough about that. I'm not going to waste any more time. I don't know who's watching. I hope Rhonda, my lovely, faithful friend, is watching. But we're going to go into chapter 6, which is finding the answers. And what I mean by this whole entire chapter is when you lose someone so close to you, such as a father, a parent. I lost my father, a child, an animal, a home, a relationship. That's it. Those are major impacts on our lives. So I was making a huge decision in my life. I was going to uproot myself from my little nest in Visalia, where I had my own apartment, living on my own. I was happy. I was doing fine, but I was dating a guy, and he was living with his mom. And so he convinced me to move out, move back to Fresno, where I didn't want to go because my addiction all lied there. My demons lied there. And he wanted out, so he convinced me to move in with him. So here we are, the beginning of the next chapter of my life. So we are on page 215? 215, subchapter Leap of Faith. It is interesting what happens when you do not listen to what your instinct is telling you. There is always the option between two paths to take. You either stay where you are, or you take that leap of faith and embark on a new journey. And I decided to take a leap of faith. I am an adventurous one, but I'm a lot more cautious now. I don't just leap into it. I really weigh out more what my spirit is telling me. And you're going to read what happens. I knew I cared for Mike and could feel that he cared for me. And Mike was somebody from my high school. So he was in my stepsister's class, which was, he was like a senior. I was a junior kind of thing, one grade above me. And so he was just 1 year older than me, really. But I knew of Mike. I knew of him through high school. He had a reputation. I knew I cared for Mike and could feel he cared for me too. However, when you move in with another person, your relationship dynamics start to change. And you learn a lot more about each other. You're living with each other. The level of commitment becomes even more intense to each other as you start living under one roof together. I was nervous about it all from the start. I was nervous from it all. But even still, I chose to ignore my gut, to ignore my instinct that was telling me. The new living arrangement would be difficult for us. And I mean us, meaning me and my kitty cats, Taz and Star. Us. And also Mike. So it was going to be difficult for us because Mike was allergic to cats. And I was bringing my two cats, Taz and Star. I'm not going to go put them in a shelter and give them up just because of a man. Those are my kids. You don't do that. So, We moved into a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story townhouse apartment. So it had this whole extra space, right? It was really beautiful. It had a large open kitchen and a breathtaking view of the expansive sky, but that was if you were upstairs. It was beautiful. The bedrooms were located upstairs. In one of the rooms, my cats were to be contained. So in the extra bedroom, that's where the cats were going to stay. And they couldn't roam throughout the house because of his allergies. Never to be allowed out. It was a way for us to help maintain Mike's allergies. There was, sorry, no disrespect on allergies. I know it is very real. I don't think his was very real because I tested that guy several times. Several times he would go out of town on business trips. And I would let the cats out of the room into the apartment. The cats would be like down the stairs and running all over the furniture and everything. And I would clean up right before he would come home. And we would have a ball when Mike was gone. I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. But I would clean up. I would put the cats back in the room. And I'd clean up. And then Mike would come home. And he'd start to snuffle and sneeze a little bit. And I mean, I cleaned up good. I am a clean freak and I cleaned up good. But, he has allergies. So he would kind of sniffle and sneeze and cough. But he lived. He lived through it. He ended up starting to drink or whatnot. And he got over it. Like, the mental, like, you got to grab a hold of yourself and your mental and know that you're not having an asthma attack. This isn't that big of a deal. And so he lived through it. And so I did that a couple times. Oh my God, that made me laugh. I had forgotten about that memory. You're going to see why Mike deserved that. He was a jerk. A jerk of a boyfriend. Oh my God. Okay. So so the bedroom was far away to help Mike's allergies, but there was a master bathroom downstairs. Like, we had the staircase, and then under the bathroom or under the staircase was this tiny little bathroom. It was cool. And then there was like a nook kind of further under the staircase. And it was just like a single bath, like it was a toilet and a sink, no bath or shower. I moved my bed. So I figured we're having a 2-bedroom. My cat's got to stay in a room. I'm going to put my stuff in their room so they know the scent. I obviously got to put their scratching posts and their litter box in the closet, and I got to make them this is their new habitat, right? And then I had my little I have a little green wooden like end table, so I put my TV on that because I figured I'm going to be spending a lot of time in this room, probably sleeping in this room with my cats, and I don't know, those are my babies. I'm going to be with them a lot, like at least 50% or more of the time I'm going to be with my babies. Oh God, that was so horrible. It was so horrible. They were such good cats and they adapted and they loved the window. I put all their stuff in the window and made them as happy as could be. Like, anybody who knows me, I'm a freaking, you want to be a cat in my house. So I moved my bed and 2 cats into the smaller bedroom. So there was like a larger master bedroom, and then there was a smaller bedroom, and both of them had windows overlooking, like way high, overlooking this really great view of the sky and whatnot. I spent all day making sure it would be the perfect home for all of us. hanging up pictures and unpacking everything. That night, Mike cooked a delicious meal for us, and we celebrated our first night together under one roof. Like, literally, I majorly did everything. Like, that guy didn't do much. I'm telling you, he didn't do much. And if he did, he huffed and puffed because he was overweight, alcoholic. But I didn't really know all of this. But he was not the man like my dad or my stepbrother or any of my stepbrother's friends or any of the men that I've known, right? Yeah. Another red flag. I continued to work in Visalia as an animal control officer, traveling back and forth. So at the same time, I had started my new life in Visalia. I didn't think I was ever going to come back to Fresno. I really didn't. And I was really happy living in Visalia. And I love Visalia. It is such the cutest little town, but it is now turning into the next Fresno. Unfortunately, so they are just seeing the opportunity and they are swarming in. All the developers, it's crazy. So I actually fulfilled my dream. So talking about manifestation, I've talked about manifestation a little bit, I think. When I was in my rehab, I was starting to get dreams. If you remember, if you've been following, but I was starting to get visions of what I was going to become after I got home and what job I would hold. And so visions were coming to me about maybe try an animal control officer. You love animals, why not try to go after that? And I was like, my favorite show, as staff at Chicago, they used to let us watch regular TV, like secular TV. Because for the predominant part, we could only read and watch religious stuff, the Bible, spiritual stuff. We couldn't do anything secular, like the news, cable. We couldn't do any of that, right? So I started watching all my favorite channels that I used to watch when I had a TV, even when I was partying in college and all that stuff. These were stuff that I liked. So there was A&E, and then there was Animal Planet. It was Animal Planet. It was Animal Planet, and it was Animal Cops. It was a show called Animal Cops, and I was like, wow. It was ASPCA Animal Cops, and I was like, this is really cool profession. I think I want to go after that. And so I started studying because they let us use the internet as well. They let us started searching, using Google and all that stuff, getting out there, searching for jobs, searching for, just getting back out in society after you've been away for a while. And so I started figuring out how the process was, and I knew I had to clear my record and all this stuff. So that's the Heinz story of that little sentence. But sorry, that was long. But yeah, so it meant I was going to still be working in Visalia, but living in Fresno, which is 45-minute commute. And my duty, so I became an animal control officer, and my duty was having to be on call for 24 hours, which meant I couldn't be on call in Fresno. How can you be on call an hour away almost? That's just unreasonable. So I stayed with my grandma. So the commute was going to be really hard, but I was doing it. I was commuting back and forth and doing my duty in Visalia, coming home after a long day and spending it with him in Fresno with my kitty cats. So it wasn't the best life. It wasn't what I really wanted. So let's see. Okay, so he cooked a delicious meal, right? So I continued to work in Visalia as an animal control officer, traveling back and forth. Meanwhile, Mike continued his job as an asphalt layer for a company where his father helped him find employment. It wasn't too long until Mike revealed his true colors, though. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. Mike wasn't really able to gain his own employment. Like he always had to have daddy open up the door and say, "Hey, I got my son. Can you hire him? You're gonna hire him." So it's not too long where Mike's showing his true colors, right? And I'm realizing, who the hell did I move in with? Mike began to drink more and more, passing out on the couch sometimes and leaving me to sleep alone. So I would try to go up to the master bedroom and I would try to say, "Hey, let's come to the bed. Let's come to the bedroom. Let's have our night. Let's go to bed like normal, 9, 10 o'clock." Pretty soon that turned into me just sleeping alone in the bed. So, and Mike would just pass out on the couch. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to sleep in my room with the cats because it would bother me not to be with my babies. Oh my God. That was so horrible. After a while of the same routine, I started sleeping in the cat's bedroom in my bed because it made more sense to me. At least I was with them while I slept. So they weren't always alone, and I wasn't always alone. Soon enough, things between Mike and I began to develop in a bad way. It started to feel less like a loving couple living together type arrangement and more like we were roommates. Mike stayed up all night into the night, like all night. Usually drinking and playing video games. He was this huge gamer with a friend who's now passed away, unfortunately. Yeah, rest in peace, Mark. It was, yeah, I'm not going to say last name, but Mike was a huge gamer. So he would drink and he would have his headset on and he'd be all playing, like, I think it was Mafia Wars or total, it was some kind of shooting and war and like very violent. Very violent. And he'd get loud and obnoxious. God, it was horrible. All the while I tried to get some sleep. So all the while I'm trying to hold down an 8 to 5 job or whatever job I had, sleeping at normal hours, like maybe at that time, I think it was like 10, and then waking up early in the morning and I'm trying to get good sleep. And all the while he's just playing all night and drinking. The next morning, I would wake up to go to work only to find Mike passed out on the couch. He would often be unable to go to work himself. So the guy started not even being able to do his own job that Daddy Warbox gave him. Several months went on like that. Mike and I would work, come home, eat, drink, and then usually a fight would break out between us. To explain a bit better, Mike was a dominant, narcissistic kind of a person. He was very narcissistic. He found it important for people to look up to him, people who would listen to his verbal rants on some insane subject. The long commute of traveling back and forth from Visalia to Fresno began to take its toll on me. There was also the trauma and weight of the death of Nino and all the deaths I was seeing on a daily basis as an animal control officer. So Nino was a beautiful pit bull whose owners never came to pick him up after he had bitten a dog and killed it, placed on probation, so we had to hold the animal. The owners never got him out, and so his day was up for expire. I just don't even understand it. And so they euthanize animals, and I was trained in euthanization, and so you have to spend like one day, a month, or a week I can't remember, in the blue room, because the juice that you kill these animals with is blue. And so you euthanize animals all day long for like 8 hours. So it was time for Nino, and I was the one that had to euthanize him. And he was a beautiful, beautiful white and black. He had like a black spot on his eye, pit bull. He was a gorgeous dog, and he did not deserve to die. And I did not deserve to have to be the one to put him down. So with all the things that was going on with me and my love for animals, things were starting to really weigh on my mind and my heart. So hence why I resigned at Valley Oak SPCA in December of 2009. It absolutely broke my heart to quit my profession as an animal control officer, but it was also breaking my heart to have to keep euthanizing animals. I had to ultimately kill the creatures that I loved so much. I just couldn't handle it any longer. I had asked the garage door company, so I had a garage door company. Well, I worked for a garage door company right after rehab. They hired me as a part-time like office assistant, and I was like so grateful, and I loved it, and I did great, and they were such a great company. So they let me go on with my adventures, right? Follow my dreams. And so I resigned and I followed my dreams, and that was falling apart. So I was like, can I fall back on you guys? Can I come back? Do you need assistance in the office? And so they welcomed me back because I was that good of an employee. Woo! So I'd asked the garage door company, the one I had worked for previously, if I could return to work for them somehow. They welcomed me back to their Fresno location with open arms. I was utterly grateful to them for the opportunity. I was, because it's hard to find jobs. It was hard to find jobs. It's always hard to find jobs. It's even more now with AI. I worked for the garage door company for another year. Then in 2010, I found another job at a dentist's office that paid a little more. However, they fired me 2 months for making a mistake on an intake order. Like I didn't mark it as new patient. So I guess when a new patient comes in, they have like this whole nother protocol they take with a new patient versus like a repeat patient. They know their history, and so they kind of, I guess, do other things. So they got mad at me for doing it once. Like, it was hard to learn dentistry crap. Oh my God. Talk about terminology I have no idea about that I was thrown into and expected to know. I mean, and I'm a quick learner, but damn. Yeah. So I was fired, right? After that, I got 2 part-time jobs. One was at a local gym, GB3, Palm and Knees, GB3. One was at a local gym as the front desk clerk where you check all the members in, and the other was being a driver helper at UPS. Oh my gosh, that was one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. Being a helper, and then you're going to hear what happens because of that. But basically, you ride around with the driver and you just help them deliver packages. So they could give you like 5 packages, and it might be a row of houses. And so as you're delivering on foot, he could be driving forward, getting everything else ready. And so you two meet together and then you go on the next way. So it's like tag teaming and speeding up the process, because Christmas time is like 100 times worse times of packages that those drivers have to deliver. It is crazy. So I was quite excited about the UPS job opportunity because it was an entry-level seasonal position. That meant if I performed well, I could have a chance at a permanent position later on, which was really one of the loaders. So you have an AM loader from like 6 a.m. to 12, I don't know. And then you have a PM loader from 5 p.m. to like 9 or 10. I wanted to be one of the, I was hoping to be one of the loaders. And those are loaders loading the packages into the trucks. They're loading the big brown trucks. So the packages are coming down the aisle off the conveyor belt, and you just put them in there in order of stops. And yeah, and it's a great gig. They pay well, great benefit package, great retirement. I mean, one of my viewers tonight is probably watching saying, yeah, I'm on retirement because of UPS, and it's a beautiful thing. And I mean, it's a great job. But that's the union side. The management side does have its great benefits of retirement and everything like that, but it is a lot harder. You're not protected by the union. You're just by the company. So in a few months, Christmas came and went by quickly. Soon a new year was upon us. So I finished my successful year or end of the year with those 2 part-time jobs, and it felt really good. And so I was trying to keep on going forward, right? So this is page 217, subchapter A New Year. In 2011, I received a call from the HR office at UPS. They asked me to come in for an interview. I was thrilled at the opportunity and quickly said yes to the man on the phone. The day finally came for my interview, and I was so nervous. Oh my God, I was so nervous. This is like big time. UPS, right? When I arrived on location, there was a security guard who had to allow me to park my vehicle first. So I had to get through security and then park. Then, with my resume in hand, I began to walk along the safe pathway leading to the building. So this was always fun to tell people how to enter the building. It's not the same now. The whole building on McKinley and Golden State is all different. There's this huge high-speed rail now blocking everything the front had. So now it's all parking in the back and everything. But anyways, you had to walk in, park your car, and then there was this yellow pathway that was yellow, like a yellow on each lines, and it would lead you all the way into the building. So it was like follow the yellow brick road all the way into the building. Then you're going to go straight in, and you're going to be walking under all these conveyor belts, like you're going into a warehouse. So I would tell them, go straight all the way in to where it's like a big, open, empty space, because that's where all the trucks would park. They would be backed into their stations, like all the way in their rows. But when they're gone out on delivery, the whole warehouse is empty and just quiet. And oh my God, so peaceful. Like I walked around that building and that was such a great place to work at. It was so interesting and so neat. So I would tell the new recruiters, because I would, so that's what they guided me down, was a hallway, and then make a right into this big open area, because that's what I was told, right? So I'm to walk down, go down this open area, and then go all the way down to these buildings at the very, very end. And then you'll see 2 doors, and on the left is the HR office in this tiny little space. So seriously, that was the instructions I was given. Let's see here. Okay, where am I? I get sidetracked. I love this stuff. So let's see, where am I? Okay, where am I? Jesus, I really lost myself. Pathway leading to the building. Once I entered the building, I instantly felt the drop in temperature. That's right, because it gets really cold in there. And it can get really hot too. As it was quite cold inside, there were ramps and belts everywhere for packages to move along all over the inside of the building. I entered the open part of the warehouse, like I was telling you, it's all big open, where all the trucks were usually parked, but they were all out for delivery at the moment. I walked down the long warehouse to the very end where a couple of offices were located. I knocked on the HR office's door and a man opened it. He was very polite and full of joy. He shook my hand and welcomed me into his office. He began to review my resume and ask me some questions. I had applied for a loader position. That's all I was there for, was to get into being a permanent part-time loader position. It offered me a chance to be, which was part-time. Yeah, it offered me, what the heck? He began to review, I had applied for loader position in the warehouse, which was part-time. It offered me a chance to be full-time as a driver. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. It offered me a chance to be full-time as a driver within a few years as well. So a lot of the part-time loaders would then take your progression and they would move up the seniority ladder. And because everybody wants to get to the driver position, which that's where the big bucks are. And so that was my ultimate goal, was to try to become a driver. Don. We all know Don. I'm not going to say his last name, but we all know Don, the wonderful HR Don. Don, the HR rep, asked me if I was interested in a management position instead of a loader position. I asked him to elaborate on the job. Don explained that it was in the HR department and that he needed an assistant. He praised my work experience and educational background. Then he offered me the position of HR instead of a loader position I had originally applied for. I was yet again thrilled at the opportunity and said yes to the position immediately. How no am I going to say no? In fact, I remember the call. I was at what is it? Oh goodness, the Pizza Kitchen, KC something Pizza Kitchen that used to be here. We went PC Kitchen, PCK Pacific Coast Kitchen. I don't know. There was a pizza kitchen here then, and me and my stepmom were having dinner, and I got the phone call, and I was like, oh my God, it's Don Ritter, HR. And that's when he was offering me this position. And I'm like, yes, yes. Test afterward that was almost an hour long and passed. So in management, you have to take these AP tests. That's what they're called. It's been so long, but you had to take this aptitude test to see if you qualify just on their minimum requirements management. Don proceeded to run my application and background, which I was nervous about my background. I'm telling you, I was nervous because anytime you're convicted with a felony and you have to have a background check, I can't tell you how scary it is that you'll be rejected from a job because of that past mistake that's marked on your record. And that's why I was so excited to get into all these types of jobs, because if you've been following or if you read in my previous chapters, I fought tooth and nail to get my record clean. I wanted those felonies reduced to misdemeanors so that I didn't have to mark that box. Yes, I've been convicted of a felon. Because once they see that box marked, there goes your application, put to the bottom of the stack. And even if they bring it just a little up because they think you're worth it, Then you got to pass the background, like the real hardcore background check. And who knows what that's going to bring up. Because I've gotten a full report of my whole entire background report. And it's very coded in police terms and all of this court terms. But you see the charges and you see found guilty. And so that was a huge milestone for me to be able to get my felonies reduced. That was very important to me because I knew that meant life or death and me being able to succeed pretty much into jobs that I knew I was capable of holding. And unfortunately, it's not fair. It's not fair at all because a lot of convicted felons have done their time and are out and are doing good things, and they can't get a damn leg up with a job. They're forced into dishwasher. They're forced into janitor. They're forced into car washer. They're forced into all of this lower paying type of jobs, nothing like a management type level, which is so unfair. And it's still going on. No matter what color you are, it's going on because of that mark as a felon, convicted felon. So this job as HR for UPS meant the world to me. It meant the world to me. So I passed the background check. I was excited and shook his hand. He gave me a warm smile in return. Within a couple weeks, Don called me and officially offered me the position of HR assistant. So that was probably at the dinner at the pizza kitchen. Although it was still part-time, it didn't matter. It was still part-time. It was 5.5 hours, but I was getting paid I think it started out at 17. I think I ended at 19 or 20, 21, which was unheard of because back then minimum wage, I think, was $13.50 or $12.50. It was really low. Although it was still part-time, the pay was excellent, and it came with excellent vacation, health, and retirement benefits too. So at part-time, I had all those benefits, which is also unheard of at part-time. You have to be full-time here in California to get all those benefits. But UPS allowed it for part-timers to get all those benefits, even on the union side. It was so golden. It was so golden. On June 1st of 2011, I began my new career as HR assistant at a worldwide company. The first year at UPS proved to be very challenging for me. Oh my God, it was challenging. I had a lot to learn, and there was a tremendous amount of responsibility that came with my position. So much responsibility. Don and I were responsible for overseeing 3 UPS centers, covering the entire Central Valley. Our coverage area stretched from Fresno to Bakersfield. So that is Fresno, the whole boundary, God, that could be 300 miles and 100 miles, maybe 100 miles in all direction. Because Bakersfield's about 150 miles. And I had to cover that area and all of that circumferencing area. And then Visalia and all of it. So it was huge. It was a huge amount of area to cover. If you know the Central Valley, it's huge. Thousands of employees, 3 centers, a lot of management. Okay, so I say in my book, Fresno to Bakersfield with approximately a 200-mile radius in all directions. So it probably, like I said, it was huge encompassing, right? My position allowed me to interview people from all backgrounds, work experience, ethnicity, and education. I quickly fell in love with my job as it allowed me to give others their first chance at a worldwide company by hiring them into loader positions or management positions. I spent time with the employees, helping them with their questions, their problems, or medical and retirement leaves. I also helped promote hundreds of employees into full-time driving positions. I had finally found myself in another career that brought me joy and happiness again. And I'm going to stop right there because I'm telling you, I didn't look at the color of their skin. I didn't look at maybe the story they gave me or the background they might have had. And I might have ignored the lack of education or lack of work experience. But when that person came into the interview room and sat with me and just answered some basic questions and we got to kind of know each other, that's where my spirit was like, you deserve a chance. You deserve a chance at this wonderful worldwide company that's going to pay you well and turn your life around and give you a real opportunity at making good money, get a house, have some children, marry, have some travel, and have a life that you would have never, ever thought of. Because it had happened to me, right? Here I am. Look at my past and look at where I'm at. So why not give that same opportunity to people who I felt deserved it? And I wasn't going on my feelings. I had to abide by HR policies too. I mean, I had to meet UPS standards. I had to meet equal opportunity standards. I had to make sure that I was hiring an equal amount of different races against white people, because if you hire one white person, you would then have to hire like 3 minorities to offset that, which I found very odd. But I didn't mind. I mean, there were qualified minorities. I mean, whatever. But I didn't hire them because of that. But I saw their loyalty and their hunger to want this job and this opportunity. So I was like, okay, you're going to be on my roster to be hired maybe in the next 3 months. We don't know, but we'll keep you on the list, because it was a constant rotation of hiring on all 3 centers. So I loved being in HR. I loved being with people, like hearing their background and just, and then seeing them grow into drivers and learn the, 5 seeing habits and the 10 keys of driving or something like that. I can't remember. But it's all your parameters of being a driver in these big vehicles. Let's see. Goodness. I get sidetracked. Obviously, you know how much I love that job. Even though my work life was moving along smoothly, my home life was not so good. Mike and I continued to have our problems as his drinking became increasingly worse. Mike eventually got fired from his job after sending a drunk and threatening text to a coworker. Yeah, Mike would do that. Life with Mike was becoming hell for me. He became verbally abusive, always calling me dummy. That's what he would say to me. He'd call me dummy. And never allowing me to speak when he had company over. Oh, he hated me to have some smart commentary. He hated for me to overpower him in conversation. He hated for the attention to be on me and me divert the conversation. He wanted the focus on him, and he wanted to control the conversation always. And most of the time they were his friends that we were hanging out with. My friends were sparse at that time. He would often sit at his computer and watch pornography openly and shamelessly while ignoring me entirely. Yeah, I caught him several times. He never slept in our bed and would usually pass out on the couch. I kept sleeping in my own bed in the room with my cats. Often in the middle of the night, I would hear Mike downstairs in a drunken state knocking things over. He would cause such a ruckus that it would wake me up quite frustratingly. Like I would be woken up by this guy. I'm like, dude. One night, it got so loud that I ran downstairs only to find him urinating on the carpet. I tried to help him, but he was so drunk that he tried to attack me. I think he was like blacked out. I really do. He was in some other state. So he tried to attack me. I had to use the back of the toilet tank cover to hit him over the head in order for him to wake up. Like we're now in this tiny little bathroom underneath the stairwell, and it's just me and him, and he's being all crazy, and he's like against the mirror sink, and I'm against the toilet, and he's being wild. And so the only thing I thought of to protect myself, because this guy's going crazy, is to bonk him. I didn't hit him like that hard, but I bonked him on the head with the back of the toilet tank. I just bonked him, and it was enough to like literally like knock him sober, like, or not sober, but wake him up. He finally woke up and passed out on the couch, leaving me to clean up the urine-soaked carpet as well as all the damage he had caused. So now I'm like cleaning up the shit. I'm supposed to go to work the next day. This is not what I need to be doing. Another night, we were having a fight when he chased me all the way up the stairs and threw me against the wall. He pinned me with a knife against my neck. Yeah. I wasn't afraid of him, though. I just stared him straight in the eyes and said, do it. Kill me. I did. I was in such a state of just let him kill me and then let him go to prison for the rest of his life kind of thing. Like I will die, I guess, if I have to be that battered woman to put this asshole in jail forever. He was that violent. Like he needed to go. And so when he did that, I was like, do it. I mean, I was scared, but I was also like just fight or flight, like that fight or flight, like do it, then do it. I don't know. I'd never been in anything like that. I don't know if I'd recommend that, of course. Whenever you're in a domestic violence type of situation, you just never know how you're going to react when you're pushed to such extremes. I would say the one thing is to tell someone what's going on, to always tell at least someone. And there is domestic violence hotlines to reach out to in your area. There is help out there. You don't have to suffer in a domestic violence relationship. You can find safety and restart your life again. So he backed off of me immediately and yelled at me to go away. He did. He just backed off at me and just yelled at me and said, go away, and like pointed up the stairs and said, get out of here. And so basically the only place I would go would to be my bedroom with my cats. So, and I barricaded that door to that night. I think I put a chair and all kinds of things against the door that night. I knew I needed to leave Mike or something bad was going to happen. Therefore, I reached out to my stepbrother, Jason. I knew he could help me find an apartment. He knew people who owned apartments and who could get me into one at a discounted place or discounted price. So my stepbrother knew people. He was in real estate, realty. He knew developers. He knew rich people here in Fresno. And so he was able to work out deals and help me get out into a safe place. So we're going to stop on page 221. I think, we're already at 8 p.m. and that's kind of a hard ending right there. Obviously, I'm okay. We're okay. So we're going to resume. What is it? We're going to resume on 210, February 10th, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We're going to finish chapter 6 because there's really not that much left. Yeah, there's not that much left. We should finish. And then we'll go into chapter 7. And then after that, that's my last chapter is chapter 7, which that will take some time to go through. That might be like 2, 3, 4 weeks. I don't know. Then we'll read the conclusion. Then we'll be done with my book, Dragonflies and Demons. But I do want to tell you that tomorrow, please, if you're available tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'm going to have an interview at CMAC Studios, again, downtown Fresno. CMAC is in the old Metropolitan Museum. That was our newspaper. And it's going to be with the fabulous Mars, who is the Matrix Creatrix. And what she is a therapeutic massage therapist who has the most healing hands you could ever imagine. And she gets into your soul, into your body, into those parts where you're holding things, you're blocking things. She will get all those knots out to where you can receive positive energy and get that infused into your body and release all that negative that's in your body that you're holding that's not healthy. That negative energy can lead to cancers and ulcers and headaches and insomnia and addiction. So, it's always good to seek out a good masseuse. And Mars is local. She's from Fresno. She's off of Toll House at the Sounds of Light Studio. So please call the Sounds of Light Studio, ask for Mars, leave a message, book an appointment. It's the most healing spiritual place you'll ever lay your body on a table at. So please join us tomorrow as I interview Mars and walk through this journey that she's been through, because she was one of my first interviewees back in like 2024-ish, 2025, when I was just starting out. And so I'm bringing her back because that was kind of like a bloopers almost. We had some hiccups. So now I know what I'm doing a little bit, and it's going to be great. And so please support her, join us, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And so then join me next Tuesday at 7, and just have a wonderful week. Face the trials that you're facing. Don't give up. Stay positive. Go outside. Look at nature. I just realized there's a hummingbird who has made a nest, and she's perched, and she's got 2 eggs. So I'm like watching that like a hawk because I want to see the babies. So find something that's inspiring, positive, that gives you joy and happiness. Spring is coming soon. The groundhog saw shadow. So we're going to have spring here soon. And just have a wonderful night. Sleep well. Thank you. Good night.